I sure do. Do you believe in the law of cause and effect? Do you understand the principles of that law? Any effect or event that has a beginning must have a cause. If it doesn't have a cause, it couldn't begin. So any finite existence is dependent upon some type of cause. And of course, the effect can never be greater than the cause. If you have an effect that's greater than the cause, then the cause was not an adequate cause itself. The effect can never be greater than the cause. Well, upon the principles of law of cause and effect, we know that we had a beginning. We know that we are not eternal, we are not infinite, we are finite. And a finite existence is dependent upon a cause. And that cause cannot be finite, or else that cause would need a cause itself. So the existence of anything that is finite presupposes the existence of an infinite cause. If there was no infinite cause, finite existence couldn't even exist.
Why can't there be a cause if there isn't a cause? Never that simple. Say there's something that is finite, cannot be bounded by something that is finite.
Anything that has a beginning needs to have a cause. Well, you could say there's I guess 3 causes that are all one: the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. These 3 make up the one cause, but you can't just have a unconscious, let me tell you why. You cannot have a effect greater than the cause. We are sentient beings. Therefore, our cause must be greater than us, or at least equal to us, and he must be a sentient being. We are conscious. Our cause must be conscious. We are intelligent. Our cause must be intelligent. We are personal. Our cause must be personal. Or else you have effects greater than the cause. Well, now we're getting somewhere. Now that we have established there must be a first cause that is self-existent and infinite, and now that we've established that first cause must be an intellectual, moral, conscious being, now the question is, who is? Who is this conscious, moral, intellectual being that is the first cause of all that we see and know? Now in the Bible, essentially, we have a book of witnesses. The Bible is a book of testimony. Now, if you were to put the Bible on trial, if you were to put the Bible in a courtroom, if we were to call upon the authors of the Bible to testify in a legal proceeding, there are certain principles that give credibility to someone's testimony. For example, any testimony that a witness gives in his own favor actually, to an extent, discredits his testimony. But any testimony a witness gives that is not in his favor, that is in some way contrary to his well-being, actually gives credibility to his testimony. Now in the Bible, we have these witnesses who have offered us a testimony, 66 books in the Bible, multiple authors of the Bible, and they gave a testimony that was not by any means in their own favor. The authors of the Bible in the Old and in the New often faced hostility from their countrymen. Often they faced persecution from the reigning governments. They were martyred. For example, Jeremiah the prophet was sawed in half. Some of the prophets, Peter, an apostle, was crucified upside down. Jesus Christ was crucified. This gives them the greatest credibility that they ever could possibly have. You could not ask for a more credible witness than what God has given us in the Bible. Nobody is willing to die for a lie. These men said they saw and heard God and Jesus Christ. They said they saw Jesus walk on water. They saw Jesus heal the sick. They saw Jesus be crucified and on the 3rd day rise again. They heard Jesus' words, they heard his sermons, and they were willing to die for what they saw and heard. So their testimony could not be more credible. Yeah.
Why is it that some authors, they were, I guess in the Council of Trent, they were completely disregarded?
Now there was a standard that they used. For example, you have a question now. First, you're asking of authenticity. Many works, like the Gospel of Judas, the Gospel of Mary, or the Gospel of Thomas, these works were rejected because they were not found to be authentic. Because the actual manuscripts were written, say, even 100 years after the author that supposedly wrote them had already died. Or they were written in a language or in a literature format that the author that supposedly wrote them would not have even known, given his culture and time period. So certain works were rightly rejected because they were not authentic. You can't expect them to put into the Bible a book that they know is not authentic. So they only put the books that were verifiable and authentic into the Bible.
So you can say that there were some writers that wrote about Jesus that were not credible, correct?
Oh yeah, people write about Jesus all the time. For example, I'm talking about people who actually saw Jesus and heard Jesus. Those made it into the Bible. The works that were written about Jesus by people who didn't even know Jesus, that didn't make it in. I heard on the History Channel that Jesus Christ had homo sex with his disciples. Well, whoever said that about Jesus in his lifetime? Whoever said that about Jesus who knew him? Nobody. Just because somebody writes about Jesus doesn't mean it's true and accurate. No way. The Bible was written by many of his disciples. Of course, the Old Testament was also written by prophets who claimed to hear directly from God and were willing to suffer and die for that testimony. And the amazing thing about the 66 books in the Bible is that though they are not all the same verbatim, they all essentially in their principles and concepts are in a complete agreement. Now I dare you to find 66 people that can write entire books and agree on every point. I don't think you can do it. You see, the authors of the Bible, they all agreed because they were all hearing from the same one God.
Why haven't we heard from this God in 2,000 years?
Well, I have. God is still trying to speak to all of us. Yeah, God so loved the world, He sent me to NC State today. God so loved the world, He sent me to this campus. God is still active. God is still dynamic. God is still alive. God is not far from any one of us. You know, God is speaking to all of you through your conscience. God speaks to all of us through His works, through the universe. God is speaking to us through the Holy Spirit that brings truth to our mind, convicting our hearts.